Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels Podcast, episode 90. I'm your host, Cal G, and to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire,
Mike Kent.
The podcast is a place you can come to if you want to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
That's right. We're the PPP, the Pens and Pixels Podcast, or... or really soft.
We're just trying to come up with some sort of, sick acronym. We could have just been, BAD, like BAD. We're the bad boys or some shit.
We're PPPs, or it's literally just...
Yeah. We're just this little, we're nothing.
We're the sound of a fart passing.
We're an effeminate fart, passing through the wind.
Just one of those soft ones where you're happy you got away with it in the theater.
Yeah, no one really notices. Could he fart? I don't know. It's not what we're talking about. All right.
They could have been sighing, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So this week, we're going to go over the news you need to know as per usual. And then after the break, we're doing another After Dark segment, because I really enjoyed the last week.
I did too.
Considering we've had a podcast we've done for 90 episodes now, we've rarely talked about the stuff we played or watched.
We've rarely talked about ourselves and been like, well, I like, instead we're like, you know what? Grinds my gears.
It's just been it's just been a lot of topics that we've done in the last 90 episodes. It's going to be nice to actually, get the blood pumping, what we're consuming.
We're getting close to 2 years, actually.
Yeah, so very close. 12 episodes away. 12 episodes away. I also I don't know how you feel about this, just pops in my head. A lot of times when people start these podcasts, I wonder if if people are just doing the news and then what they're playing. It's like, who are you? Why do I give a fuck about what your opinion is on whatever this thing is?
It's true.
But now you're 90 episodes deep with us. You know who we are. You have a sense of our personalities, and maybe you value our opinions a little more.
Yeah, but
I say this like we strategically planned it. We did not.
No, but also there's new people who join in, so there's a reason why you would say something. That's kind of the thing. Be like, hey, by the way, if you're listening to the new episode, I'm a teacher and I'm an artist, and I've been a conceptual artist for years, and I run Pens and Pixels, a concept art collective. And Cal, he draws. No, I'm just kidding.
That's accurate.
No. Cal's a designer and a graduate of the program with me, and is a very talented artist.
Oh, that's very, very, very kind of you.
Yeah, it is.
Is there any... It is. Is there any housekeeping this week, Mike? You're like, act of charity. You throw a penny on me.
Yeah, I'm just like, it is. I'm giving you what I've got.
Buy yourself something.
Go make yourself pretty. Housekeeping. Yes, there's big news. So officially, as of today, we have made a media brand sponsorship with the great and legendary ArtStation.
Woo!
Woo! So it's Pens and Pixels. We're going to be working with them on CGX and getting some advertising out and connections with ArtStation and all sorts of fun stuff from that. So look forward to hearing and participating in what's to come through that partnership. I'm trying to not spoil and talk without spoilers. I sound like a director who's trying to dodge the subject of the question. I worked really hard on this and it was good, and things happened because I worked hard and it was good, and the actors were great, and
please
I
trust
like actors. Me. Just stop asking questions, please.
But help me promote.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything about it, but that I have a thing.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah. So I have a thing, and that thing's called ArtStation, as a wonderful partner for us, and I'm just excited to announce that.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, big get, big cool get. That should be the acronym. BG. No, BCG.
I kind of find it funny because most of our lives, I think we spend talking to each other, and how we haven't devolved into some sort of caveman speak of just slur and slang.
You just a bunch of this shit.
Good.
It's true. By now, we should have had our own informal twin language or something.
Yeah.
Where no one can understand us 90 episodes in.
Also makes it sound sad that we have no other friends.
Yeah, that might be true.
It's kind of sort of
These
true.
people will never know. We're debutantes, and we're very popular within every industry. Moving on to the newsy news. Gotta start with a good one this week. Gremlins 3. Gremlins 3! Even that alone, that could just be all the things I say, and we should be excited. It's not confirmed. It's not coming out. We don't know.
I thought, wasn't there? We've reported on more Gremlins 3 news before.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the years, there have been a ton of mentions of Gremlins 3. People wanted to do Gremlins 3.
Didn't we have a story a couple months ago?
Probably. It might have just been one of the directors. Or no, it was probably that fucking actor, the guy who plays Billy, the main character.
Oh, yeah.
Every Monday, he tweets out hashtag Mogwai Monday. And he's like, wouldn't you like to see a Gremlins 3? And I'm always like, yep.
I thought there was something from some director or something that put something up.
Joe Dante might have said something at some point. He often has said stuff about Gremlins 3. I forget if it was him or this guy, Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus is the writer. One of them was very insistent on, we're not doing a Gremlins 3 unless we get to use animatronics. And they're so much more expensive that no studio's like, no, we're not going to let you make like hundreds of little creepy dolls.
Why not? It's going to have a creepy and dark theme. That's the name of the headline.
I just want to skip like straight to the good quote. Speaking with Slash Film about the festival hit Patty Cakes, which he produced, Columbus said his script asked a question which may have been on his fans' minds since the original. If all the gremlins come from getting Gizmo wet and feeding his Mogwai offspring after midnight, should Gizmo be eliminated? Very good observation, Columbus said. That comes up in the movie, certainly. So that's already pretty dark.
Yeah. Well, I guess the new movie's going to be about Mogwai hunters or something coming from China to, like, hunt Gizmo.
That raises a number of ethical issues. Gizmo himself has done nothing wrong. It's human negligence that allows him to get soaked and lets mischievous Mogwai transform. Still, even Columbus thinks cute and loving Gizmo might not be worth the risk. I think it's probably a good idea, to be honest with you. Too many people are dying. He goes on to say, I'm really proud of the script. It's as twisted and dark as anything, so we'll see. It's always a budgetary conversation when we're going to shoot it. I wanted to go back to the really twisted sensibility of the first movie. I found it was a very easy place for me to fall back into and start writing again, so hopefully you'll see that movie soon. And Gremlins fans also worried that the new film would use CGI Gremlins in place of puppets. Columbus assured fans the film would still use puppets, but visual effects could make puppetry easier to achieve than it was in 1984.
It would have to be a blend, and I would go with a blend.
Yeah, I mean, most things are blends now, like even if it is...
They got like, the Dark Crystal coming out, right? And they are doing animatronics. Like, you can see it. It's fucking Jim Henson his company doing it. But they're going to enhance it with some fucking CG, like...
Yeah, and it says, like, without a doubt, minimal CGI. CGI will enable us to remove wires and make puppeteers' lives a little easier. Yeah. It was brutal. It was like a marathon every night for those guys. In the bar scene where there were 18 or 20 people behind the bar, no one had any space to move. It was just hellish for those guys. Yeah. So CG will simplify that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it's all puppets. Yeah. Which is great. Gremlins 3 is now in development at Warner Brothers. Oh, it is? So it's fucking happening.
That's what I thought.
Fucking jerk me off and call me a camel. This is great. This is best news all day. That we can end the podcast.
That's what I thought it was getting. Maybe I read the story myself and it was like, Cal must know this. I don't have to bring that up.
No, I only read, like, really, that's the last sentence of the article. All I read was up to, like, here. Like, I read, like, halfway and I was like, yep.
Which is not a reflection of your reading abilities at all.
I'm also already just like, oh, they're talking about Gremlins 3 again. They've done that and broken my heart, like, for the last 20 years.
I really thought it was in production. That's why I was like, I thought the story was about, like, them actually working on it.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I always wanted to see as a kid, here's my fan fiction in my own head. What I wanted to see as a kid was I thought that Gizmo, like, he would create another mohawked gremlin who is in charge of everything again.
Oh, come on, dude. We can do better than just another mohawk.
No, so probably mohawk. You have to have mohawk. At this point, he's a tradition. You gotta have... It can be spikes, dicks, whatever going down his back. I don't care.
Was he in both?
Yeah, they're different. One has a hair mohawk, and the other one has like a spine webbing thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
They're both called mohawk. Oh. I don't know if it's... Like, it's not technically the same one.
No.
It died, and then another one came out that had mohawk, which had the same personality. I don't think it remembered him or anything, but...
Did he have to raise the second round of Mogwai when they came out?
He did it first, in the first movie.
In the first one, but in the second one, that was the lab or something.
They were in his, like, office work building, and they just all popped out of Gizmo, and they just started running around. That all takes place within a day, whereas, like, the first one takes place over, like, the Christmas area.
Yeah, right. I was wondering if he was just an ass enough, or, like, you're like, Mogwai had kids again. You're Mohawk 2, you're, like, Gremlin 4. Like, he just didn't even fucking name them, like, the worst dad ever.
No, see, what I always wanted to happen was that, not Mogwai, fucking Gizmo would have to, he couldn't compete with the fucking Gremlins, so he would have to eat after midnight, turn himself into a Gremlin to even stand a chance, and he'd have to, like, basically sacrifice himself to, like, beat the shit out of Mohawk.
Yeah.
That kind of happens. He trains and becomes little Rambo and sets Mohawk on fire in the second one.
Kind of.
Without, he didn't sacrifice himself, though. Everything was hunky-dory at the end.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that they took over a whole building.
I kind of would like to almost remove the human component and have like a full focus on Gizmo, like running around in like having to hide and be like hunted and shit, right?
Be interesting.
Humans just keep popping up periodically and dying just to add the violence, but more like him, like in a more horror context, like running around having to survive alone, no more protection.
I don't really want. I know he said he's going back to like dark place of the first film. I kind of want like a little more of the second one, just like this weird meta humor and like
it's just that in the first one.
Just off the
wall. It's not nearly
as
the
much. Second one stops and Hulk Hogan's watching the movie and he's like rips his shirt in half and like starts commenting on it.
I'm not close to the second one, but I felt like there was still a humor from the first one.
Oh yeah, sure. There's some dark comedy to it for sure.
I kind of like that direction.
I want to lean towards the second one a little more.
I'm more on the first.
Yeah, they're both good. They're both excellent.
They're both excellent.
I fucking love them.
And yeah, I'm totally down with more Gremlins. I mean, fuck, who isn't?
I mean, it's one of the few franchises they just didn't end up milking somehow. Like the Gizmo spawned Furbies. Like they designed Furby to look like a Mogwai.
Yeah.
Which is it's even crazier that it just didn't take off more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird.
Awesome news though.
All right, next up, James Cameron gives his thoughts on Alien Covenant.
So, have you watched this yet?
Alien Covenant? No.
I just watched it 2 nights ago.
And? Bad?
Yeah.
That bad?
Oh my god. So I'm gonna do my full talk about it on.
I have it downloaded. Maybe we should wait. And we can talk about it next week.
You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I can hold off.
Because I'll watch it, yeah.
This is in no way going to ruin that whole component. It's just, as a movie goes, it starts off really strong and gets really weak at the end. I couldn't believe it. And this is one thing that like gets to me is, so we watched that. It has like a 74 or an 80 or something like that. Like it's a decent.
I think it's fresh. Yeah. I'm not sure it's high fresh.
It's a fresh. It's in the mid 70s at the very least. And fuck, that doesn't even come close to deserving that. And then we watched what is it called? As Above or whatever.
As Above, So Below.
Yeah, the POV horror movie, which got like 34%. Not an excellent film, but was still a fun horror film, which could have easily deserved like a 60.
It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Way better. Like we sat down to watch this and be like, "Oh fuck, we're turning this off." And then like by the time she's running around like pushing those stone gargoyles out of the way, which were freaking the fuck out of Jed, like we were having a good time. I mean, alchemist stone chasing and stuff was an interesting premise. The catacombs in the Paris were really cool and shit like that. Like I was totally in, and then we turned on the fucking Rotten Tomatoes and 34%. I'm like, what the fucking rating system here?
It got really bad rating. Don't take Rotten Tomatoes too seriously, honestly. Like, it is I think a lot of people forget that like a bad, like even a bad film, if most people thought it was meh, it can get a fresh. It can still get 60% and be certified quote unquote fresh.
Yeah.
But I think everyone views it as like how we got marked in school, like 60%. Well, that's a C minus. Like that might be fine, or whatever it is. It's really the amount of people who thought it was like meh.
It's really hard to register though with with superhero movies. If a superhero movie gets a 70 to an 80, almost every time I agree. But with horror films, it is no bar. Like there's no way. Like it could get a 20, and then you'd watch it and be like, "Wow, that was a lot of fucking fun." Like
horror is also very subjective to each person, so
I guess.
I mean, there are people. People come to consensus. Like most people love The Witch. Like that got a very high critical acclaim.
It's true.
Which is rare, but like a lot of them are way more like mixed, and like a lot of my favorite films are mixed. So
I thought The Witch was kind of boring.
How fucking dare you? You're not wrong. Okay, so here's what James Cameron James Cam said on Alien Covenant.
Look, new nickname, James Cam.
Look, I thought that Alien Covenant was a great ride. It was beautiful. I love Ridley's films. I love his filmmaking. I love the beauty of the photography. It's not a film I would have made. I don't like films where you invest in characters and then they get destroyed at the end. I would not have made that film. And then finally, I'll show up for the next one.
Ooh. Ooh. Which I would be fucking down with. So, for one thing for me is like, I mean, Aliens 1 and 2, both excellent films, equal in my mind. 2 of the greatest films ever made. Neither is better than the other. Like, they're just the 2 great films, right? And they both have different components that I like. Like, Aliens 2 or Aliens is one of the, if not the best James Cameron film ever for me. Like,
great action flick.
It's particularly for his work. Like, it's it's all of his stuff. His usual military frou-frou, but done well and fun. All the characters were lovable, and I just really I was attached to it. And then the story and the components and everything like that. Lots of great stuff and great visuals. Like done, check mark.
Good characters.
Good characters. Move on. And the first one, of course, with Ridley Scott's work, was a great horror film.
Yep.
So the fact that Ridley Scott can't seem to get back whatever it was that I think it's his team he got from the first one. James Cameron's always been able to prove that he can always pull off a decent film.
Yeah, he has very few flops.
Yeah, I've never had anything where I was like, I'm going to vomit. This is so bad. Yeah. Right? And Prometheus and Covenant were both in that realm for me. So
Yeah, no, I mean, it's exciting. And also, like, I don't understand what's going on with Jams Cams, because, like, he's been, he's working on Avatar, like, 2 to 6 right now.
Yeah, didn't he also say he wants to do another film? What was it? Oh,
Terminator. He wants to go, so, he wants to go back to Terminator.
He's gonna be Avatar, Terminator, and fucking...
Alien.
Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Well, I mean, he made, like...
He came up from his submarine and was suddenly like, I'm alive!
Like, he made Terminator 2, which is obviously, like, again, one of the all-time best action films.
Yeah.
And he made Aliens, like...
Yeah.
I believe he can do this. It's just crazy to me that all of a sudden now he's like, yeah, well, I'm making 4 of these Blue Cat movies, and I'll probably go back to see Robot Arnold, and then also those long dickheads. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Like, he's just like, I'm like, all right, cool.
It's like, I'm like 65.
How funny would it be and how, like, satisfying at this point, since we both kind of have, like, this, like, mini hate-on for Ridley Scott. Yeah. How funny would it be if James Cameron came in and made, like, the best Alien movie, like, since Aliens?
It would be amazing if he came back and did the best Terminator since all those crappy Terminators.
Yes.
Came back and did the best Aliens and all those Aliens, and then Avatar is another $2 billion hit.
And he's like, my legacy.
Yeah. Like, Ridley's just, like, left at the side of a road with a suitcase outside of Vegas.
And I feel like, unlike Neil Blomkamp, who doesn't have a lot of pull in Hollywood,
yeah,
because you know how they were saying they might like stop the Alien franchise now for a while. They're like, I don't know about this. If James Cameron came up and was
they
like,
would let him do it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like that's one thing.
And he's the one I would want to give it to. If you're going to give it to a powerhouse, I would give it to him. I would almost expect them to hand it like to Spielberg or some shit, and that'd be bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm down with it.
I'm down with it too.
What I really want to have happen, my dream, which may actually James Cameron might do it, would be Neil Blomkamp partnering with James Cameron on the pitch for the original Aliens 4, bringing it back.
That could be cool.
Because I know James Cameron would want to continue. Like, he just said there, I would never have killed off all those characters, which he's also basically going back and saying, I would never have killed Newt, I would never have killed the army guy.
Yeah, no one likes how fucking Alien 3 started. Yeah. No one wants more of that.
And go back and redo that, right? So he's basically saying, I would have done that. And Neil Blomkamp's script, Sigourney Weaver's on board.
Yep.
And she's a lot of fun in the Defenders, so...
Well, it sounds like shit, though.
It does sound like shit.
That Jabba the Hutt spin-off.
This sounds like a fucking sitcom.
It's very weird. They also announced an Obi-Wan film.
Yeah, so like as everyone's probably heard, is one of the big news is that like they were talking about Star Wars spin-offs first off after Rebel 1 took off as such a huge hit. I get it. We're going to get more spin-offs. No questions asked.
Yep.
I'm not really thrilled about the idea of a story of Obi-Wan, considering the first 6 movies were about Obi-Wan.
Sure, I can understand that.
It's like 1, 2, and 3 were the story of Obi-Wan, since he was basically 20 years old and on. And then
just like his teenage years?
Yeah, so it's just going to be his teenage years when he sucked, before he was awesome. Like, I don't really care about seeing that. But, whatever. Fine, Obi-Wan's always been a great character. But then they're talking about other stuff, doing a fucking Boba Fett spin-off and all these other spin-offs and a Han Solo spin-off and everything else. And I'm like, okay, these characters kind of work. What the fuck are you going to tell with a giant fat slug that doesn't even speak English? The whole movie is going to be subtitles like a fucking Asian film.
Could it be like a Godfather movie where he's like not the Godfather himself isn't in it much, but like it's just like
the Hutts are a whole family.
Gangster movie that happens around him.
The Hutts are a whole family, and he's like their whole family is slug people, just like him. And it's whoever takes the chair. But he's gonna be the movie is if it was literally him as the main character on the camera most of the time, I'd be sitting there going Jabba no Wookiee nipple pinchy and shit for like 2.5 hours.
Huh. I didn't really know that. I didn't know he didn't talk.
His whole.
Or I knew he. No, you're right. I didn't.
It's
know
a language,
that.
Ho.
You're right. What do they do with him?
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would they call it a Jabba the Hutt spin-off if he wasn't going to be the main character?
Yeah, and they make it about bounty hunters or something that all talk to Jabba periodically, so that you don't have to have a giant CG slug.
That would be my first guess. Yeah.
And then it's not a Jabba the Hutt spin-off. It's just more
Boba
Star
Fett.
Wars.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that'd be weird. I don't know. It's an odd move. Do you think they're going a little too far with all these spin-offs and stuff?
It's kind of pissing me off, actually. It's just exploring characters that don't need exploration because they're really trying to get out there. And like Star Wars as a main movie franchise ends with this, right? George Lucas's original vision was 9 films. Doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He did 4, 5, 6 first, then did 1, 2, 3. Now we're doing 7, 8, 9. And that's it. That story's supposed to end. Basically, the Skywalker saga kind of just finishes there. And I don't think there's any intention of continuing it further than that. I mean, 10 years from now, it'll fucking happen. But the original idea was that. So Disney's usually pretty smart without hammering people in the face with things that they don't want, right? Like, everyone's like, okay, the Star Wars story should end at 9. So what are we going to do? We'll do spin-offs, right? Rebel 1 turned out to be amazing, even though I had my doubts.
Rogue One?
Rogue One, sorry. And a Han Solo film, actually, I'm interested in because Han Solo does have a huge back history that's never covered in anything. But, like, who the fuck cares about Jabba the Hutt? What are we going to do one on a Salacious Crunk and his life on the shoulder of a fat man?
Salacious Crumb.
Crumb, whatever.
What about that guy in the Rancor pit?
The one that dies?
Yeah.
That, like, raises Rancor?
Doesn't he, like, cry?
Yeah. His whole thing.
Yeah, maybe we get his life. And then grew up with his baby Rancor, and that's a lot more
could be like a Disney
story.
film of, like, raising... What's that movie about the one that raises horses or whatever?
Raising Rancor.
Raising Rancor.
That'd be good. He's a Rancor farmer.
It's like out in the field and it's running and it's got like majestic music as it's like it's running like the Spirit of the West.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like oh, it's free and and it just starts like eating people and knocking over like churches and shit.
My little boy. Who fucking knows? Yeah, I honestly don't know because I know even less about like what Jabba's life is like. I'm sure there's some extended like lore that has a ton of shit.
It's just a gangster story at the end of the day. He's the head of a gang. He fucking earned his way to the top because he was born into the family.
Well,
he's an asshole. Like, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm voting for the Salacious Crumb movie to happen. Fingers crossed, because that's the one I want. He's a weird little monkey.
Or yeah, this could end up being that for the whole thing. Is that the whole movie is just POV from those fucking shoulder monkey.
Whoever's directing thinks they're doing the most innovative thing in the world. You guys are really gonna be surprised when you see this Jabba the Hutt movie. He's even making all those little fucking noises. Alright, next up. Hayao Miyazaki has officially returned to Studio Ghibli.
To initially return to his fourth round of retiring and not retiring.
The famed anime studio took a brief hiatus in 2013 following the animator's retirement. As co-founder...
Because there's not a fucking studio with that.
Anyways, he left, and we've already reported on one time when he came back, like, in the length that this podcast has been out, so... Yeah, it's just like...
This is a crazy man. Like, he's what now? Like, God, he's got to be in his fucking 70s at least?
That's what I would imagine.
Maybe even near his 80s?
76. Yeah, 76.
Like, I don't know. It's just, if you're going to retire, 76 seems like the time. Then again, I don't really want him to ever stop until like he can't literally move his hands anymore.
Yeah, I mean he's a creative guy. He probably just keeps having ideas that he wants to see come to life.
Because his work, like Ghibli does release films outside of Miyazaki films, right?
Yeah.
And they've all kind of mastered mimicking his style and his creations, but they do not have even close to the magic of his movies.
No, they don't.
Right?
that's
not even close. But there's something interesting about Miyazaki as well that I've also found a little bit more different about his later works, right? Because like his original work was always about pleasing his kids, right? That's what Totoro was. It was like his kids and his daughter, and it was his bedtime stories to them that he would turn into these movies. And he wrote all these movies based on that brilliant, like, kind of warmth that comes from childlike innocence that's spirited away with the main
Howl's
character.
Moving Castle?
Howl's Moving Castle, not so much, but again, that's a little bit later. But even fucking Princess Mononoke, it's like two young kids, right? You know, like the blossom of life and learning and getting outside of the home and etc. As these kids have gotten older and those stories have faded, like I like the plain one, but like just like I kind of want to go watch cute fun things and your mystical world outside of that.
They made Ponyo. That was for children.
I keep forgetting about that movie.
Yeah, Ponyo. It wasn't... I didn't like it very much.
No, I don't remember disliking it. I don't remember it.
You're right. I also don't remember it very much. I remember not liking it more than anything else.
Yeah, I remember...
What is he, like a slime
mermaid?
from...
It was a mermaid. Like
Dragon
why?
Quest.
It was like one mermaid of 100 of Dragon Quest.
Yeah. I think those little slime, those like iconic slime.
This is kind of the thought process actually happening right now while I'm trying to figure out what Ponyo was. I just remember a weird rainbow man who was like obsessed with water and had the water where he walked.
Yeah.
A giant sea queen thing, and for some reason Ponyo was one fish out of like a billion, but they loved it more, and then the queen wanted it back.
I mean, he loves one of his kids more. That's what it's about. And it's his only way that he can truly say it is through this fucking movie.
He makes like a 3-hour film, and it's like there's the two daughters are sitting there. One of them's there going, "Yay!" and the other one's, "Oh."
There's like no, they both just eye on each other. Like, is this one about? Is this about her? Is this about her? All right, good to see you back, Hayao Miyazaki.
I'm happy to have you back.
This is a weird one. XHamster, a porn site, if you don't know, but let's be honest, you do, wants to produce season 3 of Sense8.
which is appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, of all the shows that if the porn sites are going to start getting into original TV shows and producing them and stuff, Sense8 makes a lot of, it'd be weird if they're like, yeah, Stranger Things season 3, come on down to Pornhub, but like, that'd be really weird even with the kids and shit. But like, yeah, Sense8, like, yeah, I get,
it ties in and it makes sense, but there's going to be a whole universe outside of this of interesting things. Like, first off, can porn companies do they make that kind of money? Now, I mean, I know they probably make good money because it's
they
porn.
probably make the most money.
Yeah. But like, like I said, it was $5 to $7 million per episode to fly these guys to each point of the world and all that. But then the actors, do they want to be tied to a production company that's a porn company because publicly that may not be smiled upon?
Well, I don't think that like, Sense8 season 3 is not going to be sandwiched between Big Wet Asses 9 and like Anal Gape Stars 4. Like, I assume XHamster would make some sort of other fucking name and be like Hamster Flicks or some shit, and then be like, they would, they only have one series on there. I think just one webpage, and they're like, Sense8. Here you go.
You'll never know.
Yeah.
They've missed an opportunity without not calling themselves Hamster Tube.
They could do something with like hamsters and wheels or something.
Hamster tubing.
And like as the hamster's like running through the wheel, it could turn into like a film reel. And it kind of goes, and then like you're like, all right. Dope.
And then it slowly goes into an ass.
Yeah. But yeah, very odd. Just a random thing that was announced this week. Oh, and they haven't, Sense8 does not agree to it yet. No. This is purely XHamster just offering to them.
No, but it makes sense to this film. There was a lot of sex in the movie, in the show. It was a lot of talk of sexualities, a lot of openness, a lot of communication about being open about like it's very like sexually liberating on a sexuality front, sexual identity front, and all that kind of stuff. And it says right there, like the implicity of interconnectedness of sexualities across boundaries. That's a good way of putting it. So like it makes total sense that they would be interested in this film. I just wonder if that influence would come across more and like every single episode had like hardcore fucking in it.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that the Wachowskis would like, compromise their vision and be like, okay, we'll make this series for you, but there has to be, 20-minute rim job scene in episodes 2 and 6, and then also...
Oh, sorry, no, I don't mean like hardcore, like they're gonna like actually see anything and these people actually have to fuck each other. I just mean like, in every season they have about one epic sex scene, right? Like in the first season, this is the big one, was the first Sense8 orgy where they all ended up like psychically having sex with each other, and it's like all 8 of them doing each other. And then in the next season, this was basically the same thing.
So you're wondering if it would just be that, but
hardcore. every episode there would be some sort of
I don't think Wachowskis would also agree to it if they had to compromise in that way.
Like every single episode has to have more nudity and more sex so that we can appeal to our masturbating public.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that would ever be a thing. This ScreenRant.com makes an interesting point. Don't expect this to result in another season of Sense8, however. For one thing, the public offer by a pornography company is an old, often used publicity stunt that very seldom leads to a project coming to fruition. Just about everyone who's ever gotten into a public sex scandal over the last 10 years, especially politicians, have gotten a quote-unquote offer from one porn company or another to appear in a video, usually in the form of a press release. They tend not to say yes. I mean, this is different than that, This is, I think it's different, but like, it'd be crazy if this did end up happening.
Well, the thing that could happen that might help this come back, and this is the like looking away from the porn side, is that the porn company is interested in funding and producing the film, in which they could, or the show, and they could come back and go, all right, we'll fund it, Netflix, so that you no longer have to cancel it, host it through Netflix, and we'll do a whole sharing deal where like we receive 70% of the profits or something like that, right? And then that way, it's like Orange is the New Black or House of Cards that's funded and produced by another company and it's just hosted by Netflix. They can do the same deal, right?
Yeah. We could then, yeah.
Which, again, adds into this weird level of how do you do fucking advertising, because like in the beginning, the production company would come up in the credits and the first thing that would show up would be like XHamster.
Again, I think they would have some sort of other production name. They just make like whatever. What's a good like pun on masturbation?
Pud? Pulling
the Pud, Pulling the Pud LLC. And you're just like, all right. Like something like that, right? And that's what I would imagine. I doubt it would be XHamster's like brand up front, but maybe. Who fucking knows?
Or just use like porn names like Hugh Jass.
Yes.
Hugh Jass is our producer.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Sense8 will. Other things still happening. Sense8 will air a 2-hour series finale special in 2018 on Netflix. So
we'll see.
Let's move on to some gaming news.
Beep, 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 beep.
Media Molecule Head discusses what's to come for Dreams. Dreams, if you don't remember, it was debuted alongside the PlayStation 4 when it was revealed, and it had some appearances at some E3s and some other shows, but small little trailers here and there, and then it just kind of teetered off, and we haven't even heard from it in a while now.
Yeah, I'm weirded out by Media Molecule. So I was a big fan of the company when it first came out, because I played a Little Big Planet 1 back in the day on the PS3, and I fucking loved that game. Just on a sheer design level, there was an artistic creativity and an artistic understanding of gaming and game design applied to that game so intimately to make sure it was just a genuine experience. And then the studio itself was run in the same fashion. The people who worked there were exceedingly happy. I fell in love with the studio itself and the work that they did. It was just all of it was very, very clever. And then they made Little Big Planet 2, which was really not much of an improvement, but it was still a lot of fun. And then they just disappeared. I've always loved that company.
You forgot about Little Big Planet 3. Did they make that one, though?
I don't think so, did they?
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing. I don't know if they made it or not. That could have been ported off to someone else.
I don't remember. I only know 2. Anyways, Media Molecule disappeared. And yeah, Dreams, which basically looks like Little Big Planet 4 or 3...
it's like make your own game or scenario or experience.
Their ideas and designs were always so much bigger than what they were capable of. So that was one of the things with Little Big Planet, though, right? Like Little Big Planet had that whole you can make your own levels for everyone to go play in, and you can go in and customize it and play it and customize on the fly and drop shit and play with your friends and make crazy wacky things that are made from stuff out of Dreams. But that was so much further beyond the technology and where they stood at the time that component really actually wasn't all that fun or good. The actual made game was way better. But in this one, again, I kind of think that they were like, all right, we're going to try and achieve what we never actually got to properly achieve in those 2 games to make Dreams work. But now they're in that state where they're like, well, if we're going to achieve this, we have to keep holding off until it's out. I don't even know how they're alive. Can't be enough money left in Little Big Planet 1 and 2.
I think they're Sony owned, so Sony's just continually being like, here you go, guys, here's money.
I guess there's also a mascot potential that constantly powers them too. Hey, by the way, you're the guys who designed the Sackboy, which sells a fuck ton of merchandise.
Yeah, I mean, this interview doesn't really honestly say anything big about it. There's VR. It's amazing seeing people create Dreams in VR is amazing, and it's able to wander through these worlds is amazing. It's a total no-brainer for us to do that and support it because it's just awesome.
Well, I hope it's different. I hope it's a little bit more exciting. I like the 2D side-scroller or 3D 2D side-scroller thing. I hope it's just not another one of those, especially since the idea isn't that far off, because Little Big Planet was based on the world of Dreams, and I think this is literally called Dreams.
I think this one is 3D, yeah. I don't think it has anything to do with platforming or anything.
Yeah, so I hope it turns out. I really love that company, and I kind of hope to see something from them soon.
It's just, I feel like it's crazy that it's been, 3-4 years now since PS4's been out, and it's just been I would have thought that was out 2 years ago at this point, or should have been, they must have been showing it off too early with whatever they want to keep doing with it,
Whatever their goal is, it's way bigger than being an initial release title.
Next up, Sony's canceled PlayStation 4 exclusive, Nomageddon. Now, we covered this before, if this sounds familiar to you, because the name Nomageddon has been swirling around in the consciousness somehow, and this just goes to show how fucked rumors are, because the rumor initially was that Sucker Punch is creating an open world game called Nomageddon. Now, it's not the case. Nomageddon is from Sony San Diego, not Sucker Punch, and it's a third person MOBA with lawn gnomes that are fighting.
Actually, if you look it up and look at the screen caps, you'll look at it and go, I remember seeing this shit somewhere before. And I did too.
Though they never showed it off in public.
No, I've seen this shit though before. I've seen news reports on it.
I mean, you've seen 1,000 games like it before? Yeah. Probably. So yeah, it was this whatever nothing game.
Yeah.
But the only reason I really wanted to talk about it was because, so now we can cross this off the Sucker Punch rumor. Mm-hmm. Their game is not called Nomageddon. What's still up in the air though is the Old West art that is for a quote unquote undisclosed Sony project, and we also don't know what Sucker Punch is working on at all.
But it does at least make more sense now that why was this very dark and very gritty Western. It's on the Art Station. Freelance concept designer. Okay. Why this Western would be called Nomageddon, which would just like make no fucking sense. Like
I'm pretty sure we were racking our brains at the time, being like, why?
You're a lone gnome in the West.
Yeah, it just made no sense. But it's crazy. So like,
the Travelocity.
So Nomageddon ended up being a thing that existed. The name was there. So I wonder how much truth there is to the open world Western part now. Then is it just like 4 rumors that got smashed together? Someone and through a game of telephone,
That's
someone was like,
though.
Fucking open world game called Nomageddon. You know, like.
I think it is just a bunch of rumors put together. Plus, this concept artwork could be for a game that's literally never coming out. Concept art doesn't come out and doesn't get posted.
It was posted 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. If you want to see it, I'll link it in the show notes. It's from a guy, I can't pronounce his name, Ioan Dumitrescu?
Don't know. But there's no way that a concept artist was put their artwork up before the NDA expired.
Yeah, that's another good point too. Like, it's not like this leaked. This is like literally on this dude's ArtStation.
Like, it's the curse of a concept artist.
I feel like we're now like trying to like promote ArtStation. we're like, oh, this happens to be on ArtStation. It does happen to be on ArtStation.
It does. But as for the doom of a concept artist is funny. Like, everyone asks about showing off all your artwork and getting popular and stuff, and I'm like, well, actually, as a concept artist doing your first job, you'll be stuck without being able to release your work for about 4 to 5 years. So you will never get popular even while you're working because they'll lock away your work, and even then, when it's done, they'll be like, you get these 4 images to put out. You can't put out the other 400 you've done.
And I mean, there are idiots, who've leaked things on LinkedIn by saying like, I worked on God of War 6 or something.
Putting on your fucking public profile.
Yeah, this is on a public profile. It's been up for 3 years, and this rumor did make the rounds a couple months ago. Yeah. So I feel like if it was anything, this would have been taken down. Right? Like, I would have think.
If it was even coming up as concepts for something that was going to be used in some fashion, this would have been gone.
So that's Mike and I busting rumors yet again. Sucker Punch probably not working on a Western?
No.
Yeah?
I don't think so.
Probably put like a 4 out of 10 on that one?
Oh, no. Because it now is clear that someone just went around and was like, that's a rumor, and that's a rumor, and that's a rumor. They're all the same rumor. That brings it way down for me. 2, 3-year-old concept artwork that's actually on a public profile that doesn't require any stalking to find. And then 3, none of those themes match up in any fashion. I give it like a 2.
Next up, we're going to make Mike sad. Masato Kato talks about the end of the Chrono trilogy and Chrono Break. I mean, if you don't know, I feel like you would if you're listening to this, but Chrono Trigger is a, internationally renowned, like, as one of the best JRPGs of all time. Mm-hmm. Chrono Cross, not as much, but it has its fans.
Yeah. And it's classic. Chrono Trigger was, it's definitely almost number 1 on everyone's list from, like, fucking, what is it, like 91?
I want to say 93, but
SNES,
right.
SNES time, whatever it might have been.
Yes, SNES era.
Yeah. Amazing fucking game. And then, for PlayStation 1, they made Chrono Cross as a sequel, which was not as good. But I felt like that was a technology thing on the way for a lot of it. Mm. And a lot of also wanting to use technology for it. They're like, it has to be like this, and it's 3D. And the guy's like, I don't want that.
Well, here's an excerpt from an interview from December 2015. It was in French, and it was translated by a reader on NeoGAF. So we're going to take his word for it. I'll link it in the show notes in case you don't trust the source. It all seems pretty on the up and up. But as for Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, I have wanted to imagine an episode that would conclude a trilogy, i.e. a third game after Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. And that would take place shortly after the events of the first game. I thought of following the lead. Kid and the others have to go help Chrono, Marley, and Luca, who are in great danger. In the end, it was some sort of all-star laughs. I assume he means like all-star get-together type thing. That said, I have the following principle. The past is the past, and it should be left behind. You have to let go, to lay new foundations, to move on. Nevertheless, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure Square Enix suggested the possibility of a project called Chrono Break. But I wasn't a part of it, so I'm not in the best position to talk about it. In fact, I don't have any other information on this topic. It ends so abruptly, like
he's just shut the fuck up.
Like someone all of a sudden was like... gun to his head, and he's like, I have no other information.
He's like standing behind like a curtain in the back or something, and it's not like this like gun starts to come out. He's like, and that's all I'll ever say about that. It's just sad in one way. I mean, like, this isn't confirmed that they're never going to do it. They can always get other people to work on the idea of...
Totally. And that's actually what I want to ask you, because you're a bigger Chrono fan than I am. So the original creator, not involved at all, probably. Would you still be excited to see Chrono Break, potentially, just from Square Enix in general?
Yeah. The thing about Chrono Trigger was the story wasn't the greatest story in the universe. It was a good story, and like the whole time travel thing. It was the mechanics and the RPG altogether with its visuals that really did it, because it was all based on Dragon Ball dude
Akira
Toriyama's designs. So of course, being a kid and Dragon Ball fan, seeing anything else designed by him was like incredible.
I was always, when I was really young reading game magazines, I always thought Chrono was like Gohan from the future or Trunks' friend. And I was like, red hair that looks like Dragon Ball with a sword. Like, is he a Saiyan? I had no idea until I actually found Chrono Trigger, and I was like, oh.
Everyone kept asking me if he was a Saiyan. But the thing about the game that made it so great was like I said, the time travel and the going back and like making an effect in the past and having it change the future and doing like it was the key point that made all of those crazy RPG tactic things pop up. Where like if you go to this one little part at this one time, you can find this one thing. And this is like Lady was planting a tree, then you can go in the back and leave Robo in the back, and then suddenly he grows a whole forest. You go into the future, and suddenly you go find his like asleep corpse, and you can bring it back to life after he's grown a whole forest for you over 400 years, like shit like that. And the characters were really great and really endearing, and there was lots of amazing design work. Like it was one of those launching points for RPGs in the world. And to make another game, it's not about the writer. Like the story kind of ended very clearly at the end of the first Chrono Trigger to me.
I kind of agree with you. I never actually ended up beating Chrono Trigger, but I liked the characters more than the story.
Yeah, like Lavos is a giant space meteorite monster that that's going to like eat the planet, and he makes time warps, and you do that. Like, okay, great. But like it was the character stories. It was like Magus' story about finding out who he was in the future or in the past, and like the civilization that used to exist, and how he was like going to try and get revenge for his sister this whole time. So he's not really actually that bad of a dude. Luca's story about how she accidentally crippled her mother in a machine and all that kind of stuff, and like in her guilt and all that kind of stuff about trying to fix it, and how why she's trying to be smart. Frog story about being a failure as a hero, getting turned into a frog and cursed as a frog, but then like dealing with this curse and embracing it. Like it was the character stories that it was the only part I cared about. I never paid attention to the story, and I was always excited to do the side content where you go back and forth in time and do things with the characters.
So we want to see a Chrono Break with Mass Effect 2 style loyalty missions with Frog, is I think what I want.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm not even laughing, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But big thing for me is visual style. Like, I don't want this to turn into Final Fantasy VII Remake where they're like, we're getting gritty and real.
No. Yeah.
Like, I would want this to play up on getting as, like, I want it to be fucking Persona. Like, that's
a good touchstone.
Yeah. Like, we're going to be 3D. We're not going to go back to 2D graphics. No one's going to play a 2D graphic game anymore. It's not going to be good for new people to play. But, like, I want it to be like Persona, where the visual style is very clear in my game.
Very pronounced.
Yeah.
Also, get the composers from Persona.
Yes. Jesus Christ. I got those songs still stuck in my head just randomly.
Fucking Mike just texted me like, "You'll never see it coming." And I'm like, "Are you playing it again?" He's like, "Not even."
Not even. Just standing outside. I was having a vape, and then just...
"You'll never see it coming."
Like, what's that? "You'll never see it come." And you're like, fuck! That's my life for the next week.
Persona always has fucking great music.
Yeah.
So anyways, I would totally be open as well. I never actually associated, I associated, Metal Gear with Hideo Kojima, whatever.
Yeah.
I never really associated Chrono Trigger with the same guy. I didn't even know the same guy did it.
Yeah.
Twice. So if a Chrono Break was ever like renounced, I wouldn't even have been like, whoa, but what's his face involved? I'd just been like, yeah. So
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
I think there's enough hardcore fans out there who were like, because like the generation that's making games today was the generation that played Chrono Trigger when they were like 9.
Yeah.
So they would probably do it justice.
I bet we'll see a Chrono Break within the next.
Oh, we'll see.
I bet we'll see it within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And speaking of Akira Toriyama, there are new details for Dragon Fighter Z.
I'm going to just let Cal take this one over.
Okay, so I'm real happy, but I'm also a little salty. They announced new fighters. Got Android 18, Krillin's wife, and you got Android 16, the big bulky guy who, spoilers, if you don't know, he dies. Gohan freaks out. That's how he defeats Cell. No 17. No no boy robot. No.
Why would you have a significantly weaker, giant, annoying, silly robot that got his head exploded several times?
Well, they say that Android 16 will play a prominent role in the game's What If story mode. The campaign features high-end animation and a brand new storyline that imagines Android 16 being revived to battle Goku and friends. The magazine also confirms Dragon Ball FighterZ will allow 6 players can team up for 3-3 online party matches.
How is 16 coming back and battling everyone going to be a threat?
I don't know. It makes zero sense because they also announced that Goku's Super Saiyan Blue God form and Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue God form are in the game. So, they're demonstrably more powerful than Android 16. Yeah. Don't know what's going to happen, but I've been saying to Mike ever since he's known me, I probably told him 20 times how cool I thought this would be. Whenever they do a Dragon Ball game, they always go through here's the Raditz saga, here's the fucking Vegeta Nappa saga, here's Free, and it's just we know this, we saw this already, I don't care. Do what ifs, do a bunch of weird shit, what if Tien and Roshi fused and they became a monster, whatever, I don't care. Just do a bunch of what ifs, and that's what they're finally doing. They're telling this weird, random, offbeat story that here's what could happen, maybe.
Tien and Roshi. Why is there a third eye on my dick?
he's a huge pervert, so he's just you want to see my third eye?
He's I want to see what it looks like when it goes in.
I want to see the one-eyed monster. So I think that's really cool. I honestly wasn't really expecting a story mode from this game. I thought it would be here's an arcade mode, at the end you fight Boo. And here's a motion comic-y thing in between or whatever.
I would have expected them to hit on Dragon Ball Super stuff, but I wasn't expecting a story mode.
I wasn't expecting, I was expecting an arcade mode and maybe you'd get a clear screen at the end and it's and Goku sailed off in the sky, whatever. So I think it's really cool they're actually doing that. Campaign featuring high-end animation. I don't know if that's their own or if that's going to be they're hiring a studio to do 2D animation cutscenes or something. I don't know. But their game looks fucking fantastic. Could not be more excited at this point. But if you want 17 in the game, go to my Twitter. I already retweeted a thing that says Android 17 for DLC because he needs to be in there. Android 17 got brought back in this newest arc in Super, and he's the best character right now. He's a total badass. If he hadn't had this last 2 weeks of story and arcs and stuff, I would have been Android 17's not in the game. Who gives a shit? Whoopee. But now I'm he's my new favorite character because he's fucking dope as hell.
I saw that tweet and the GIF was weird. When did he get a barrier?
In Super he got a barrier.
But he just had one now?
Okay, there's a... I feel like I should talk about this in the next segment, After Dark. We talk about the things we've been watching, and I've been watching Dragon Ball Super.
We'll hit on the GIF that I found dumb.
Yes, we'll lay out all the things Mike finds dumb about Super, and I'll try to rationalize it best I can. Stay tuned after the break for the After Dark segment. Welcome back to the After Dark segment where we talk about everything we've been consuming. Not necessarily only After Dark, but it's After Dark. I don't even know why I called it that. I was originally gonna call it Too Hot for TV. And I was no, that implies that we're doing Girls Gone Wild, so I thought After Dark would be a good one.
No, but that sounds more like a smoky interrogation thing. What is that? True Confessions or something like that? Right?
After Dark. My intention was for it to be a little more casual sounding. It's After Dark, it's we're getting a little looser, a little more casual.
Yeah, it sounds like hanging out and having a smoke and a beer.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what this is. We're not smoking inside, we're not savages.
We're vaping inside.
Because we're savages. Okay, so when we left off, you wanted to know why Android 17 can fight Goku now?
That, and also, we'll hit the GIF in a second, but yes, why is he suddenly now super strong?
There's no good reason for it. So there's been a time skip in between Z, the end of Z, with Boo and Super. I think it's been 3 to 5 years, something like that. During all this time, Android 17 has been living on an island. He's had no contact with his sister, 18. And he's
Why was he alive?
They wished everyone back who got killed by...
And he just took off? Was that actually what happened?
Yeah, at the end of Z, he's a ranger. He's on an island, being a park ranger. There's some throwaway line in the Android saga, where they say, what would you be doing? And he's I think I'd want to be a ranger, with animals and stuff. And then at the end of Z, he was it was, Jesus. Again, throwaway line, nothing. Yeah. And at the end of Z, there's it's honestly just a little montage of a bunch of people, and he's at a park. So he's been doing that for the last 5 years, just warding off rangers and protecting endangered species and all this shit.
Well, it makes so much sense as the fact that when they do the time travel in the future, they're evil assholes, but then in the real world they just change their minds.
Yeah, well, they saw 18 saw Krillin sacrifice all the shit so she could be alive, and 17 has no real good motivation. He has a family now. He has a kid and a wife that you don't see. He shows Goku like a photo of him or something. Anyways, Goku is going around trying to find all the strongest people to be in the Tournament of Power. And he's like, oh, right, 17 exists. So he goes, flies to this island, finds him. And he's like, hey, could you help? And he's like, probably not, bro. And he's like, you gotta protect these fucking animals. And he's like, nah, well, let's fight to see if you're strong enough to do it in the first place. And they fight. And Android 17 is like trading blows with like Super Saiyan God Goku. Yeah. There's literally no reason this should be happening. He's fighting regular humans on this fucking island, like poachers and shit. And then he just like wipes them away. Like it's nothing. No real good reason. No reason for his barrier. No reason for anything aside from the fact that I just wanted to make him a super badass now, which is exactly what he is. He's had the best fight in the Tournament of Power so far. So he's dope as fuck, and that's why I want him to be in Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yeah, but then I was looking at that stupid GIF that you put up, and I'm like, all right, why the fuck does he suddenly just decided he had a barrier? No one else has ever had an ability which would make a lot of fucking sense for a lot of them to have. But then two, it was like they were breaking down what his moves would be or something, a counter, grapple, and shit or something.
Oh yeah, that was like I guess that was our suggestion to the developers. Like
yeah, but those weren't powers. Like they were like counter, and he just kicked them like that. I've seen every character in the game do that.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's like typical fighting games. Like a Rekka is like 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 punch when you do like quarter circle, punch, punch. Like that's just what that is.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, doesn't he have any other powers? Like, you know, there's special beam cannon or Kamehameha or something. And instead he's just like, he now has barrier.
Well, he was about to get pushed out of the tournament, and he made a like planet-sized energy ball that he landed on. And then he was like, I'm done with you now. And he just, like, started flying at the person and did, like, infinite beam or something. And it just, like, knocked the other person out of the ring. It was fucking dope. Again, nothing he ever had in Z. So, again, they're just writing him to be cool as fuck. Yeah. And it's working, because I love him now. As for the latest episode of Z, that wasn't the latest, or Super, that wasn't the latest episode. That was an episode before this one. Last episode had Gohan finally fighting. And he was fighting a giant Winnie the Pooh, like, bear. And when you punch the bear, he converts all the damage and energy into another dimension, so you can't hit him. Like, he doesn't get hurt by it.
He's just horribly violating another dimension.
Well, you know, you can.
Who's doing this to us?
No. So it's not like Gohan punches and like his fist goes in him.
Yeah.
He punches him, and then there's like his belly ripples, and it just like he doesn't get affected by it.
Yeah, I know, but now the other dimension's just getting punched.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that energy's going. I mean, it's turning into thunder over there, or like.
What an awful thing! Just walking around, like they're all periodically just getting punched in the face. So, have a good day at school. Fucking fuck.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a pocket dimension of nothing, or it's not been explained, or if it is like the 1950s like good human world in there, and then all of a sudden there's like, it's raining punches again, children. It's like, anyways, Gohan manages to defeat him by just punching over and over again, and just because literally punching over and over again, because like there's this great moment that like isn't supposed to be funny, but like Piccolo's watching him with his arms crossed, and he's like, Gohan knows that this guy just transfers the energy to a different dimension. Why is he doing this? Goku lands, and he's like, I told him about this guy. Like, why would he keep punching him? And in the background, you just see this like kind of poorly animated Gohan just punching, but eventually he's like lifting the guy up by punching because he's doing it so rapidly, and he gets him out. And then he fights another guy who like, I don't know, he's a piece of shit. But at the very end, a little locket falls off, man. And you see Goku, or the guy's family, and Gohan's like, oh right, everyone else in this Tournament of Power also has a family. And then that universe gets deleted because that was the last person. And Gohan's like, and then he flies off.
That's actually kind of poignant.
It sounds poignant. They didn't do it very well. It's one of those things in description. It's like, oh, they're adding a little bit of this. But like, they did it, it's so half-assed. It's just like, he looks down for a quarter of a second. And then it's like this terrible, like, flat drawing of Gohan just like, oh. And then, like, it disappears, and he's like, all right. Here, like, And there was a bunch of people saying, like, great episode, like, I cried. And I'm like, you have a very low tolerance for crying if that made you cry.
Let me introduce you to some anime that'll actually make you bawl. I find this show so funny because to you, every single time you end up having to put it into words, like, you're probably watching this on your own, and you're like, hey, that was fun. Mm. And then when you have to put it into words, you're like, embarrassed by the fact that you watched this show at all.
I'm not embarrassed by Android 17 because he was great and it was well animated. The Gohan episode was not very well animated. The Kale episode we talked about, the Broly character, again, not very well animated. It's just, and it's, I would notice it less.
But you're trying to like fucking validate your watching with it. So you're talking about this and you're like, his solution was just to punch it harder, which is.
I mean, I wouldn't keep watching it if I wasn't having fun.
If I needed to tell someone like what's Dragon Ball Z about, they solve problems by punching it harder.
Basically.
Yeah.
No, I'm not embarrassed at all. It's a very mediocre series right now. That's just what it is.
Oh.
And again, they've had sparks of greatness here and there throughout, because I watched the whole thing now, and like it's cool ideas, always less than great execution. I feel like.
Yeah.
But it also, and like occasionally there's like an episode where I'm like, oh, that was animated really so well, that one episode, like that was really cool. I really liked that one. And then I go and watch My Hero Academia, and I'm like, oh, every episode is fucking great. It puts into stark contrast like. This series that got a season and this series that's just going all year is constantly having to fucking chug out episodes.
Funny about My Hero Academia was last week's was actually a fucking filler.
Oh yeah, it was great though. I loved it.
It was an amazing filler.
I didn't realize that until after I saw people talking about it, and people were like, "Oh, they made an episode out of this panel," and it was like a picture of Froppy, and she was like, "I did some stuff or something," and I was like,
in the manga, because now it's aired. All that happens is they all get together and talk about what they did for their summer placement. And Froppy comes up and goes, I got to save some people from some terrorists on a boat. And it has one little picture, which I think comes from a newspaper clipping that's like in the
yeah, it's super tiny. Like,
and
then
it's
just
like this little like clipping of her jumping in the air with her tongue picking up someone. And they just made a whole fucking filler episode.
And it was a fun filler episode. I didn't realize it was filler until afterwards.
Yeah. But they even covered like everyone else, like Bakugo, like bitching at kids and stuff. Like they added a little bit more of the summer placements, which I actually like, because when I was seeing that whole component in the manga, I was like, oh.
You said the same thing about the I don't want to dwell on it too long because we talked about it last week, but like you said the same thing about the Stain little like 3-episode arc there when they were fighting. You said a lot of stuff was fleshed out compared to the manga, and you got like a better sense of it in the anime.
Yeah, well, I mean, fight sequences will always take longer in the animation world, even if the animation is like high end and fast. Like there's time period, but in a manga it's like one cell communicates a punch.
Yeah, like one panel.
And this is the great moment where that one thing happened. Unless it's a really well done, well choreographed manga. Some of them are really quite good. My Hero Academia is actually not half bad for it.
But I think this is what an anime should do to a manga, is like flesh out upon these ideas, expand on the characters.
When I'm reading it now ahead, I'm getting really excited for the anime to catch up and flesh out what I'm not getting, because like when you read a fight sequence or an action part and you're like, I don't really quite get what happened there, but I know it was really fun.
You're like, I think that's him jumping off a wall or something. I'm
not quite getting the choreography, I'm not quite getting the impact of this one scene because it just wasn't illustrated quite enough, and then you get to see it in the show and you're like, oh, that's what they fucking did, that's fucking brilliant. And then the
Chrollo Hisoka fight, like I would so much rather see that in animation, obviously, right? Like,
because like trying to figure out what he was doing when he was hiding in the fucking crowd and shit, I was like, what's going on? And you're reading it, like these paragraphs of like this fight. But yeah, no, really, really good.
And we've also both been watching Rick and Morty. Let's make this a weekly thing. Rick and Morty, the newest episode was the Vindicators.
Yeah, what did you think?
Again, entertained by it. I think I laughed like once.
Yeah.
Not that I like the...
Everyone's thinking of going back. Every Twitter feed is like, Rick and Morty is killing it this season. Best season ever. So much detail. And I'm like, it has none of that dark, really dry, lost humor. None of it.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's not as humorous.
No, but the very dark, subtle humor, like the fucking Jerry moment with the wolf, right? Like, that's the humor of the first two seasons.
Yeah.
And like you can pick out any joke from that whole entire thing, where it's the obtuse commentary on just like the darkness of the human soul. Or like our place in the universe, but in this it's very overt, like just beat you over the head, like just flat out, here's some really drastic stuff, right? Like the whole episode being about demolishing the fact that heroes don't really need to exist and work, like, you're a hero in your own mindset, blah blah blah, and like, Morty coming to that realization.
Oh, I was trying to just deconstruct like heroes in general, and it was kind of weak, honestly. Like the deconstruction of superheroes was kind of like, like they almost have explored this kind of shit in comics themselves already.
I didn't get the Space Girl's motivation at the end for killing the ant guy. I had no fucking clue why she did that. She was just like, now you die.
Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah.
I thought 1 Million Ants had like the best lines.
Oh, the best lines.
He was probably like, or it was funny when she said like, our baby died because like he was half 1 million ants and half like a collapsing star. I thought, like that was pretty good. And when the drunk Rick talking about Israel and he's like, he was trying to explain himself, and 1 Million Ants was like, I have no stake in this. Like he walks away. Like that was pretty good.
Yeah, the Israel bit was pretty funny. But again, it wasn't anything that made me laugh out loud. I was just grinning the whole time.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly. And I feel like I feel like as this season goes on, we're like, it's going to sound like we're being very harsh. I still love Rick and Morty. And, and I look forward to every episode, and I keep wanting... But we're 4 episodes deep now? 4? 5? 4?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Is it only 3?
No,
this
fourth.
Is the
fourth, yeah. Right. The first one was,
and
then there was...
but yeah, there's just something not hitting it. There's like almost something missing. I don't know what it is.
It's almost like there's no moments where I've gotten a catchphrase. You know?
Like,
show me what you've got, I can pull that out. Yeah. Or get swifty, or... Wubba-lubba-dub-dub. Or it's a purge, Morty. Like, we get so many things that were just when it happened. And currently, right now, all it is I'm Pickle Rick, which is just
which is I'm Tiny Rick.
I'm Tiny Rick, but now he's a pickle.
Yeah.
And then now everyone's doing is drawing Rick as different things and calling him whatever, fucking, Pygmy Rick. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just turn him into other ththings. Like, I just, where's that originality and that sense of humor? Rick pulling up to a planet and then like hitting it like it was like because it's too small and the perspective was off.
Yeah,
that made me.
That's a good joke. Yeah,
just lose my guts, right? Or they go on the planet with the Cobb, and why is the Cobb a problem? And it's so dark and weird that Cobb is a problem.
Yes, that was brilliant.
With the sun that comes up, and they're like, "Oh, look, here comes the sunrise!" Ah, and it's just screaming as it comes up. How long are the days here? Keep summer safe.
Yeah, keep summer safe. Yeah, there's so many good ones. Yeah, you're right.
And that brings me to like the core point of the humor that was really got me in Rick and Morty, that hooked me. It was in the Keep Summer Safe episode when, in the very beginning, and even with the ghost babies, which was awesome, no more melting ghost babies.
Yeah.
And her action when she does it with her fingers, no more melting ghost babies. But in the beginning, when it was trying to keep her safe, and she's like, no violent action, and then it like zaps him in the spine and paralyzes him, and he's crawling away, and now he's just permanently paralyzed for life, and they just don't deal with that at all.
Yeah.
Like, and you're laughing.
Yeah. It's dark as fuck, but you're like, holy shit. Like,
that was the humor. I haven't had a single moment of that in this entire season.
No, aside from the first episode. The first episode felt like it was in tone with the last season completely.
You're right.
And, but yeah, everyone after that has felt like weirdly off. Mm-hmm. And again, I liked the Vindicators episode. I enjoyed everything that happened technically, all the character beats and stuff. It's just, I'm not laughing nearly as much.
Like, I have, this is the thing, again, like, I'm super enjoying it, and it's still the best animated TV show to come out in a long time. And I mean, in the Vindicators episode of stuff I loved when, I forget, I don't even care about their names, so the rip-off of Captain America, I guess you'd call him. Space soldier guy in the very beginning.
Oh, whatever. Tony Stark guy.
Tony Stark guy. When he takes off and he sticks his head out into the thing, and then it does all the sound effects of saws and guns and shit, and then his legs keep flying around.
Yeah.
And then Croco Robot or whatever.
Crocubot
just shoots it and blows it up because he's just like, get it to stop, and blows it up, and they all just ignore it and walk along.
This episode is also continuing the gore trend of an insanely gory episode.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't know if they did that purposely or if this is going to be.
There was pacing tone issues inside of it. I thought all of the components were really funny when they turned on each other. Do you like his 1 million ant dick inside of you and stuff? I was falling in and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to go someplace. And then weird moments, just why did she kill the ant guy? But then she traps both of them and she's like, enough. And then she just left them in a sphere for the ant guy to go inside and blow up the other guy. Why didn't she capture them in 2 spheres and keep them separate? That just didn't need to happen. I don't know, weird drops in the beat of what I'm used to in Rick and Morty. And it's not ruining Rick and Morty for me. That's the thing.
I mean, that's the thing. I'm still entertained by it. And they have the jokes just aren't they're not hitting for me. And I'm not actively thinking oh, that's a bad joke. Or it's not something where I'm that seems like that would be in an Ashton Kutcher movie or something, It's not that level jokes. They're just not quite hitting it. I don't know what it is.
It's not like I'm sitting back and thinking about that joke going, holy fuck, I can't believe I laughed at that. How did you make me laugh at someone being paralyzed for life? Instead, I'm just kind of grinning and having brain dead entertainment.
Yeah.
There's no more going, holy fuck, how did you make something this awful funny? It's more just everything's kind of brain dead and obvious.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you've also been watching The Defenders?
Yeah, so I just started watching The Defenders. It's out today. I'm not going to do anything spoilery since obviously it's extremely new. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, I'm really happy to see it come back. I think everyone out there agrees with me that our guts are sore from being punched so hard by a crappy, flimsy Iron Fist and a very slow-moving Luke Cage. And it just kind of felt the deflation of the whole Defenders universe build-up after those 2 series.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have not watched I've not finished Daredevil season 2. I only watched one episode of Luke Cage, and I didn't even try Iron Fist.
Yeah, you should finish season 2 of Daredevil before you watch Defenders, but you don't have to finish Luke Cage or Iron Fist. But I would actually recommend the Defenders. It was really great to see a lot of the characters come back. It was funny how much stronger certain characters really were because they're still all divided in the first few episodes, obviously, because they're supposed to be them coming together. And like seeing Daredevil and Matt Murdock pop back up, and I was like, oh my god, what an awesome actor. I love this character. I love the story. I love me seeing his side characters again. I love the character repartee. I love the conversations. I love everything, and I'm like totally in. And then Jessica Jones pops up, and I like seeing Hogarth again, and Patsy, and everybody, and I'm just like, oh, I love this universe, right? And even Luke Cage, the best part about Luke Cage was like his interactions with particular characters, and Rosario Dawson's character is having her interaction with Luke Cage, and I'm like really getting onto it. Misty Knight was back, and Iron Fist, they weren't going to 180 the character and make him not an angry, gruff guy, which is still frustrating, but he's not nearly as annoying. So that's good. Definitely really enjoying it. Looking forward to watching more and kind of finishing off the series. I fucking love Sigourney Weaver so much.
It's 8 episodes, right?
8 episodes, which is nice. It's
which
no
is way
longer
better.
the 13. The Sigourney Weaver is actually awesome. Just seeing her, I don't have words. I don't even have words for it. Sigourney Weaver. There you go.
Always great. Doesn't matter what she's in.
It doesn't matter what she does.
Great in Galaxy Quest. Yeah. Great in Aliens.
Great in everything.
Great in everything.
It's just so awesome. Definitely highly recommend watching it and getting yourself back into the hype for what I hope this re-revs the engine. It's not nearly as exciting as when we watched Jessica Jones or Daredevil for the first time. I think we all need to be revved back up for this universe. But watching this show is slowly, episode by episode, and I'm only on episode 3, revving me back up.
Yeah.
So I think
ready for season 3 Daredevil?
I'm by the end of the season, I'm thinking I will be revved back up and ready for season 3 Daredevil, ready for season 2 Jessica Jones, and hopefully Luke Cage and Iron Fist are better.
I hope so too. Did they get confirmed second seasons?
Yeah.
Luke Cage and Iron Fist?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Both of them.
Really? Interesting. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
I knew Jessica and Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil is finished filming? Or in filming. Jessica Jones is filming right now.
Yeah, and what's his fuck is back as the Purple Man, David Tennant.
Yeah, and everyone's going, is he going to just be like an apparition that's like haunting her, or is he going to actually be back?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I assume it's going to be flashbacks, but...
I assume it's apparition or flashbacks.
Yeah, because it was such a big part of her history, I can't imagine there not being some sort of something.
I think it's just going to be a psychosis thing, not him actually back. I don't think they're going to deal with that kind of resurrection stuff.
No, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't think they'll deal with it. I mean, but out of all the villains, if he was the one to come back, I'd be like, yeah. For sure. Cool. Like, great.
We need fucking Vincent D'Onofrio, is that it? Kingpin back?
Oh, yeah, we do. Fuck yeah.
But I've got to say, Sigourney Weaver is intimidating.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll watch this one. Yeah. I'm probably not going to finish Daredevil season 2 before I start watching this. So, is there anything that I need to know?
Well, spoilers to anyone out there who hasn't watched the end of Daredevil season 2. Elektra dies.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Who knew?
As per the fucking comic books and the fact that she's died 3 times, in the comic books, I mean. But when she dies at the end, they go do a flash to her body. The hand has captured her. She's fucking Black Sky. She's the Hand's secret weapon. She's like a living weapon they've been hunting for forever.
Oh, okay.
And she's like built for murder and combat and shit. And they have a special use for her, whatever that might be. And they keep hunting her. And then she kills herself at the end in order to not let them have her. And then they show her body in one of those resurrection things, and they bring her back to life in the last scene.
Lazarus Pit.
Yeah. Well, that's DC, but yeah.
That's like cool.
Yeah, that ties into the Defenders pretty clearly. The only thing you need to know about fucking Iron Fist or Luke Cage is Luke Cage got arrested at the end. He turned himself in, but now he's the hero of Harlem. And Iron Fist, Kunlun got destroyed.
Sure. Great.
That's all you need.
Got it.
Yep.
Nailed it. Now I'm going to go into the Defenders.
You're perfectly prepared with those 2 things. It took 13 episodes for you to learn those 2 facts.
All right. Okay, let's go on what we've been playing quickly. I've been playing Breath of the Wild for the last month.
Despite our objections to ever possibly doing that.
And it's a great game. I'm happy to say. It's Zelda Breath of the Wild is a fantastic game. It does a lot of things right that I really love. But I had a weird... So first I'm going to go with stuff I love. It has something that I really wanted from Final Fantasy 15. It has, like, when I'm out just exploring and stuff, like, I'll just be like, I'm just climbing up this fucking, I don't know where I am, I'm gonna climb up this thing, and there's these two rocks converging, and I'm like, what the fuck is, and I'm gonna walk over there, and I see this blade, and it's, like, shifted in between these two rocks, and it's like, there's, like, a little thunder kind of, like, lightning coming out of it, and it's like, I pick it up, and it's, like, some fucking cool-ass thunder weapon, and, like, I wanted shit like that for Final Fantasy, where, like, if we just randomly stumble, all of a sudden we could find, like, the Masamune or something, or is that what it's called?
We literally can go find the Masamune in Final Fantasy 15, but it's a glowing little gem.
It's a glowing little speck. I love the, like, physical representation of this, like, sword stuck in the earth, like, in between these two rocks nestled in this area. It's like, oh, fuck, I just found something cool.
But that's even the part for Final Fantasy 15 that pisses me off, is, like, when you do finish the game and you can keep playing the story component of it, and all the final weapons unlock, which why the fuck didn't it unlock before the end of the final game? But the final weapons aren't in dungeons. What the final best two daggers, I mean, I don't know if that is the case anymore after all the expansions, was literally, you remember some of those sections where there's these giant long chain link fences just surrounding, like, fucking buildings and shit?
Yeah.
One of them, like, does a slight U-turn at the end. You probably run into it. It's just there now.
Oh.
It's on the grass in the middle of the open world next to a fence in the middle of nowhere.
That's so lame. Like, that's the thing. That's like...
And it's just a little glowing speck on the ground. They're like, now it was there.
There were so many times in Zelda where I was like, I wish Final Fantasy would do something like this, that something I cared more about, where... Because, again, I didn't care about finding... Like, I mean, it was really cool, but, like, it was a good weapon, but it's like, I don't care about Grand Thunderblade so much, but if it was a named weapon of, like, the Masamune or, like, Titus's sword, whatever the fuck, right? I would be stoked to find something like that I recognize in an environment,
or even
just from exploring randomly.
An ordeal to get down there, because if you look at Final Fantasy VII, you never saw the weapons anywhere, but, like, to get fucking... any of the best weapons, you had to go to the bottom ass end of a crazy fucking dungeon and pick it up down to the last tiered little corner.
Yep.
And then, like, you're like, now I gotta walk back. And you're like, fuck. So that was a big one. And also, like, the limit breaks all required a test of something. Like, you know, get Tifa's by playing the Final Fantasy tune on the piano, or it doesn't matter, the list goes on, and something cool in Final Fantasy X, jump 100 lightning bolts, right?
Oh. Yeah. Yes.
But still, I mean,
yes, there was stuff to do. You had the shitty chocobo race or something. Yeah.
Like something to give it a bit of lore as to, like, there's a reason why no one else has this, because no one else is dodging 100 lightning bolts.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's something that I really like about Zelda that I hope other developers see and are like, oh, that's a cool discovery moment for a player.
Do you know in Final Fantasy X, did they ever put a counter in for that fucking jumping?
They might in the remastered version, but they did not for the original, no. You just had to keep track in your own mind.
Yeah, I mean, for the remaster, do you think they put a counter in finally?
I somehow doubt it.
Because I remember we counted. There's 1, 2, 3, and then you get a hit, and you're like, "Fuck! I was at 56." 1.
Some dude like made some like thing where it was like anytime the screen flashed, it like really quickly set off the sensor and tapped the button at the right time. So he just like got up with that. But I was like, that's really inventive. That man like invented something to do this.
Do the thing that everyone hated.
Zelda also does the thing that I love, that we were talking about this actually before the podcast. Has random there's no levels in Zelda, which actually was a weird thing to get used to at first, having come off of Horizon and Persona.
I really would want to have like a water temple and shit though, like a water temple, not
I'll get there.
temples.
But yeah, like running around and stuff, like, there's just these not high level, I keep saying that, these powerful monsters that are like just unsurmountable at first. I'm sure you could beat it if you wanted, but even though I was like, you know, early in the game, I saved my game and I just was like, I'm gonna throw everything I have at this fucking thing, and I survived long enough and I had nothing left to attack it with. I was like, oh fuck. Okay. So that's, again, it makes the world feel dangerous, feels like there's areas that I can come back to and explore and all this shit. Really cool. Zelda also has this thing where everywhere you go, there's something, and it always feels like I'm achieving something. There's a fucking 900 Korok seeds around the whole world. I don't know how many I got, but the Korok seeds, use those to upgrade your pouches, so you can hold more weapons, shields, clothes, whatever. I don't know what the fuck. Which is great. You're like, so I see one of those, I do a little puzzle. If it's too hard or it's too much for me to figure out, I'm just like, fuck it, there's 900 of them. I don't care. So I move on. There's all these 120 shrines all around, solving all these cool puzzles. Some of the puzzles are really inventive. Some of them are like kind of duds, but like, there's enough of them that are good that I'm like, I feel satisfied in solving all these little puzzles. And you get a heart piece, and you get an orb at the end, and you get a heart piece or stamina. And again, you're always achieving something, and it's always really cool. However, I'm at the end of the game. I've conquered all 4 divine beasts, which are like the main dungeons in the game, which are all like kind of the same thing. Fun, but like, again, like you just said, I would prefer to have had temples. I feel like now I'm going up against the final boss, and I feel like I haven't done anything in this game. Like everything I've done has been in service of like getting my hearts up a little bit, getting my stamina up a little bit, getting so I can hold more stuff. But now I feel like
missing the story.
Story's garbage. It's Zelda.
Yeah, no, I know, but like even going into like the Zora domain and like helping them.
I have no attachment to any of them. The characters are kind of fun, but like again, they're so paper thin. There's like I like the Zora clan and I want to save my people, and it's like okay, like you know,
it's like I've watched the videos of people like walking around and being like, and when I talked to this Zora, they said this one thing once, which tells me the story that they all are suffering from, and I'm like. That should just be blatantly obvious to me, so I care.
It is blatantly obvious. That's the thing. Like all these people are like, well, the Divine Beast is ruining our town. You know, they all talk to you. And there's a bunch of little shit in Zelda that doesn't really matter to me as much. But like, if you are shirtless Link and you go up to someone, like they'll almost always comment like, "Oh, you're quite confident." That'll have some little line of dialogue, and it's like that's neat that every character in the world reacts to you being shirtless. I'm never shirtless. I don't care. I'm not really. You know, I just don't give a fuck. Yeah. I think it's neat you did that. It's not enhancing my experience at all.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I'd almost feel like now that I've done a bunch of shit and like found all this stuff, like I just feel like I don't know. It feels like I have this almost like underwhelmed feeling after like now I'm just going against the final boss now. Like I'm about to go in the castle and it's like I feel like I've done nothing. I've gotten things in service and that was all satisfying at the time. But now that I've done it, it's like I don't feel like I really did anything. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. It's a very strange feeling for how satisfying it was at the time. And then now that I'm going to the end, I'm like, is that what this game is? I'm like, it was just that?
You didn't check mark off your trials, right? Like, in most other games, even in the other Zelda games, right? Like, going through all fucking 7 in Ocarina, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Like, you're at the end of that, you're like, fuck, alright, now we're ready to go. Like, you've done your due diligence, and it was like a trial to just do these things. But instead, all you've done is just hunt and gather.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. I've done a bunch of hunting and gathering, which at the time is fun, but now that I'm done it, it's like, oh, yeah. You know, it's a very strange feeling. Mm-hmm. And all the Divine Beasts are basically the dungeons of the game, like the main dungeons, and they're all like very. I don't think this is a huge spoiler at all. When you go into the Divine Beast, you find a thing and you control it, quote unquote. And by control it, I mean like if it's the flying one, you can tip it. So like different things change in size, so you're changing the inside of the dungeon. It's very small for a traditional Zelda dungeon. It's the size of a giant robot. I mean, that sounds stupid. It makes it sound huge. It's a fairly small environment that you're using, and you know tip things. It's all it's satisfying. But like when I did one, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I did the next one, I was like, oh, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I did the third one, I was like, oh, they're all just gonna be this. And then sure enough, they're all just that. You know. Yeah.
Well, that's not even a downside. So, bringing myself over to what I'm playing, I just replayed Horizon Zero Dawn again to complete 100% completion for the second time, thanks to my PS4 dying.
So I'll give a little round of applause.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. Even though I
couldn't. I tried, because I had 3 games.
Twice in the same year, like, fuck.
I had 3 games that I played that literally led to my first ever true honest bout of gaming burnout. Was playing Horizon, Persona 5, and Mass Effect Andromeda all within a 2-month span.
You're an insane person.
Yeah. Beating them all to 100% completion as well.
You didn't beat Persona.
Well, I didn't beat the last boss. That's all I didn't do.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought you got, like, halfway.
No.
Didn't we only talk about halfway? No?
No.
Am I wrong? Okay.
No, I got right up to the last boss. Like, right before the whole... plowed the fuck through, and I was thinking about going back and replaying all of these because I really wanted to have 100% completion on every single one of them. I'm sitting back and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna replay Mass Effect Andromeda. No, not a chance. Not because it's not.
Although that would be the one if I was you, that would be the one I'm most curious about. Having had all the patches now come out, and like now it's all like
that was one of the main
cleaned up.
One of the main reasons. But now that I know that there's not really any major expansions coming for the game, I have no compulsion to need to. That was my reason. I was like, oh my god, when they come up with because Mass Effect has had some of the best expansions ever made.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, when those come, and they're like, no, we're not planning any, so don't worry about it. And I'm like, well, now I'm just playing to replay the content that's been polished.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really driven to it. Persona, there's no fucking way I'm regrinding that shit. There's no way.
No.
Never happening.
That game took me 110 hours.
Yeah. And on top of all that, like, the idea of going back and having to redo all those days of, like, going, I need my 1 more point in charisma. Like, no. And researching all of the fucking answers to all the questions so I pass every single time someone calls on me in class.
You can just pull up a fucking there's a list with all of them, and you just
No, I know, but like I don't want to.
You don't have to like Google every question.
No, I don't want to just look. I don't want to deal with that. No Persona 5. But Horizon Zero Dawn has an expansion officially announced to be released in November. And super fucking excited for that. And also awesome game. But when I sat down to turn it on, I'm like, all right, this is the one I'm going to replay. And I'm like, okay, let's just do this thing. I'm going to like just buckle down and do it. The moment I turned it back on, felt just as fucking good as the
instantly
first
back in.
Just like I'm like, why the fuck did I ever turn this game off? I was just like, I should have just been playing this on loop. Such a fucking good game. As a matter of fact, replaying it again with having all the knowledge obviously made the game a lot easier.
You knew the general critical path.
And I knew where to aim without having to just like scan it and be like, oh, I have to use a freeze arrow, so I'm going to sit here and hide for a bit, and then like, oh, I need to do like I remember all the tricks now, so I knew how to drop a Ravager like the moment I ran into it. I was just like, whatever, you're fucking down. Like, and also like stealth components, like when the stealth missions, I was just like, I know exactly where to go, and do it in one run. But the game felt incredible to play again. The story was just as moving. I actually was like, I'm going to skip all the audio logs. I'm not going to participate in any of that again. I'm just going to scan it so I can have it. Yeah. I sat and listened to all of it again.
You're fucked. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't watch the cutscenes again.
Yeah. I skipped cutscenes. Okay. I did skip a few cutscenes where I was just skipping through the dialogue because I was just like, all right, you guys are just talking about your fucking, like, one of the quests when you're trying to help the red priest and the sun priest who want you to go around and help the three people who are suffering or whatever. And he's like, suffering in this world is, and I'm like,
yeah, like, don't care.
Don't care. So I skipped that shit. But the scanning dialogue of all the past stuff, which is the true story of Horizon Zero Dawn, the stuff that really moves you, oh fuck, I definitely re-listened to every one of that.
I wouldn't, because that was like one of our only complaints about that game was the fact that there was like
stand there
there's like 9 in a room, and you're just like, okay.
I sat there again and I re-listened to all of it because the story is so fucking good. Just amazing. So
one of the most satisfying moments in gaming to me was the first time I found what's the T-Rex called? Thunderjaw. First time I ran into a Thunderjaw, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try and I gotta try and do it." And taking it down my first try, but it was still like a battle and a struggle, and like trying to rope this beast down. He's trying to get out, and like trying to figure out what I'm shooting on him. Like one of the most satisfying experiences I've ever had in a game, like ever, like top 10.
And that was one of the things. The loop in that game can never really be broken, right? Because you can't just learn how to drop those things instantly in that game, right? Like you have to follow the method prescribed. Like with a Stormbird, you have to latch it to the ground. You have to take out its fucking thunder thing, or it's just going to keep frying the ground around you. And then like while you do that, you have to hit all of its canisters with the right arrow to take enough health off in a big chunk and do all that jazz. I mean, I admit later on at the end of the game, you can't just like toss 1,000 sticky bombs on it and just watch it explode. Yeah. But even then,
yeah, that was one.
Even then, that doesn't always necessarily work. And when you're fighting like 6 different fucking behemoths, like that's not really necessarily the answer. But like you have to redo those moments. So the experience was the same again. But my point to like the redoing refresh dungeons, like we were talking about with Breath of the Wild, where like you would do the same dungeon 4 times. Yeah. Horizon did that beautifully. You have to redo, what is it, 4 or 5 different cauldrons, or maybe even 6 cauldrons? 5 cauldrons, I think. Maybe 6. But all the cauldrons are basically the same fucking thing. Get to the end, blow up a monster, right? Yeah. And there really wasn't any new mechanics added in, because there's no new mechanics of like jumping mechanics or anything different in that context, and you're still just hacking everything. And while there's not really like any like puzzles to stop the dungeons from progressing in any fashion, each one was fresh.
Each one felt new.
Yeah. Yeah. And they always did little tiny things, like the one that was like dilapidated and caved in, and they turned it into a little bit of a jungle, and you were fighting all of the stalkers, like little stealth panthers, or even like the last one really wasn't much of a dungeon. It was just like get in, go straight to T-Rex. Like, they made something that was exactly the same every time, which would make sense since it's a machine, and they're not going to make like 7 different versions.
It had enough differentiation. Yeah. Like it
completely fresh.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away that Horizon Zero Dawn was easily equally as fun
the second time around. Yeah.
And now I'm just like, fucking give me the expansion, please God.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to be at all... You're going to be peeved at all if this expansion comes out and they're like, yeah, you can play it without having finished save file?
No, because I know that if I have this finished save file, they had literal video footage of you wearing the final armor in the expansion.
Yeah, but what if it's just like you start it, it's like a separate thing, and it's just like, here you go. It's like a new like tab on the menu, and it's like, here's fucking Frozen Wilds.
Oh, and
it starts you off with like the armor and the whatever you have.
Yeah, that's good. But then if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have it. Oh, you mean like if it just automatically gave you everything?
Yeah, it was just like, here's endgame shit, go for it. Like,
I don't think that's the case.
Would you be peeved at all?
No.
I don't give a fuck if it's the case or not. I'm just like, would you be unsatisfied?
No.
You know, you wouldn't think you wasted your time at all?
Oh, God, no. I would have originally before I started. But when after I got into playing again, like, I bulldozed through that in 4 days.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Just amazing. So I guess to polish off, which actually I think is a theme that you guys probably picked up on this After Dark. After Dark? That's what it's called.
After Duck?
After Duck. Is like JRPG tropes or something that's kind of come into my mind, right? Things that need to come back from classic RPGs, especially from classic JRPGs. And this came from me going through my boxes during my move, and I found my copy of Star Ocean 2, one of my favorite and forgotten favorite JRPGs from the PS1. Yeah.
The PS1 era, yeah.
PS1 era. PS2? No, can't be.
I mean, there was Star Ocean on PS2.
Star Ocean 2. No, it's Star Ocean 2, not Star Ocean 1.
We'll do some fact checking.
Yeah, make sure to do some fact checking, make sure I got this right. That's Star Ocean 1.
Star Ocean 1 was 1996, so it's definitely PS1.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, on playing Star Ocean,
oh my god, it was Super Famicom. It was Super Nintendo.
Yeah, the first one, that one didn't even come to US. The second one was the
second story is PlayStation.
Yeah.
Blue Sphere Game Boy Color.
Yeah. Till the End of Time was actually.
PlayStation 2. Okay, yeah.
Till the End of Time was actually a lot of fun. I'd replay that one too. So when I was playing Star Ocean 2, I remembered, I was thinking about it when I was packing it up. I was like, in that game, right the moment you get out of your first like stupid like initiation story mission to get through a forest before you go into a town.
Tutorial phase.
Basically. And like you get out to an open map and you can see the town you're supposed to go to is this giant town off in the distance, and then there's mountains on your side and something else on the other side. And you can of course walk around this whole space as per usual in JRPG back in the day and go to any of those spots. But most of them will prevent you going like, you can't go any further here because that's not where you're supposed to go or something, right? But then off on the side is this mountain that you could just go into, and then the second you go into it, you get attacked by some monsters, like as per any random encountered like scenario in JRPG. But they're like level 56 and you're like level 8. And by that point, you're fucked, obviously. But if you fought a very particular round of monsters that you could easily kill, right? Because there were a couple of the others who could one-shot you. But if you just fought these, I think they're like little wolf-looking things, you could bounce 26 levels like instantly. And if you fought them a bunch of times, you could get maxed out to like level 56 or like 60 before you ever even were fighting anything above level 10. Which I will admit removes a lot of the challenge of the last of the game. But that kind of shit was a fuck ton of fun. Like, I loved that kind of stuff.
It was a sense of discovery, and like, you know, obviously, like, you wouldn't just, if you were just first time playing that, you wouldn't have wandered in there and not immediately thought like, I could probably kill one of these things. You probably would have been like, shit, there's like level 60s in here. I gotta fucking bounce.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. And I did. The first time I ever played Star Ocean 2, we just moved through the rest of the story. But like when second time I played through, I was like, I'm gonna go try this, and then I found out through like strategy guides that people do this all the time, and you know, this is a really good way of bouncing your levels up real high. Blah blah blah.
Final Fantasy IX had a similar thing where it, like once the map opened up a little bit, there was like a grotto you could go down into, and then back up, and there was this little patch of grass where like grand dragons were.
Dragons, yeah.
And like they were hard at the time, like when you were, but then as soon as you started beating them a couple times, you're like, oh fuck, okay, I'm like leveling up really fast now, and like going.
And you get
like,
a shit ton of the experience that levels up your items and stuff when you kill them.
Ability sphere.
Yeah, so you can get items. And even in Final Fantasy IX, like most people would steal stuff, but they'd only steal once from a boss. But if you steal from a boss multiple times, they have a super rare item, and you could get like the Blizzard staff, like 3 levels early, or 3 like boss levels early.
Yeah. And
you suddenly have Blizzara before you even have Blizzard.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
you know, like that little kind of nugget of something that would pop up, but there's none of that in Final Fantasy 15. There's none of that in fucking most games today.
That's the thing. I feel like a lot of the like discovery and sense of wonder is taken out.
Yeah. I feel like games keep focusing in on one, because if you look at Zelda, right, you have that sense of the game is built on you wandering around and just that sense of discovery.
Yeah, totally.
But the entire RPG component of it is lost, right? Because you have basic dungeons, basic story, basic characters. Nothing's really drawing you in, right? So it's just focused in on just having a giant open world to explore.
Yeah.
But then you look at games like Final Fantasy 15 where they're just focusing in on the story, and neither one is working. And
or one chapter with a giant open world you spend 70% of the game in.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
So like, I really want those components of JRPGs and RPG in general to come back. Even Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't, while exploring was a ton of fun in that game, it never resulted in anything huge, because like again, like all the mods never mattered at the end of the day.
No.
All of the weapons you got from a vendor anyways, and then like
the things you could find in the overworld, like the Tanuk stat or Tanuk, or what are they called? Is it Tanuk?
Banuk? Yeah, Tanuk.
Banuk. All the Banuk statues, like cool little stories associated with them. Metal flowers. That actually, the metal flowers were good. Just
the viewpoints were awesome. I love walking around and following the apocalypse.
Actually, yeah, the viewpoints were probably the coolest thing. Yeah. But like, yeah, the metal flowers and the Banuk statues were just like, they felt like collectibles could be in any game. Now, the flower has significance later on. You find out, but you know, as you're going through the game, it's like any other collectible, and it's like, I wish there was something more. Now, having played Zelda, it's like, I wish everyone would just steal that element from Zelda, making the sense of wonder. I wish there was something like that in Horizon.
Yeah, because there was moments like that in Horizon Zero Dawn. In the literal first area inside of the, what the fuck are they called? Your cave people's town. If you go north of your house, like the house you actually own, there's a little area that goes up to a group of sawtooths. There's no reason to go up there. There's never a mission that makes you go up there. But if you do, there's actually a plane that's been crashed into the side of the mountain that goes halfway through the mountain. That's cool. And you can climb up the back of it, and it's this old plane, this giant fucking plane. That, I don't
think I ever found that.
Yeah, and it's just there, and it's rotting, and it's beautifully designed. It's one of the more gorgeous areas in a gorgeous game. It's just there. You know, like, give me something. Give me a fucking something. Scan something. Yeah. A story thing. Give me a little visual thing to scan.
Like, I think Horizon has that in the... Because you find it very early, the ultimate armor, like, cave. Like, that was very much like, oh, what the fuck? And, like, you know, having played the game now, you're like, okay, you literally can't get it until, like, the very end. Like...
Yeah. And you don't really go in and start exploring other ruins until the story gets you into stuff.
Yeah.
And there were public areas, like going into the old towns, and they'd have like the headsets that you could scan for story. But all it was like an ad, a literal ad from back in the day or something, not like another hologram thing popping up and you suddenly saw the streets moving or some shit. Right? Yeah. Like, it was still way better, and I fucking love that game. There's almost no flaws in it. I don't think it was necessary for
I think they could. Game. I think they could make it just that much better by implementing stuff like that. You know, like that's what it is. Yeah. Like I think Zelda, the combat is like very like meh. You know, I think they could learn a lot from something like Horizon. You know, making the bow and arrow combat actually satisfying. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think
I just feel like I'm twanging little like when Bart Simpson with a slingshot or something in Zelda.
Yeah, no, I think that's the key to progressing RPGs forward, right? Is to get, especially when we're dealing with so much open world, and the mastery of an open world is taking like Horizon in its gorgeousness and its organicness, and being able to traverse it without sitting there going like, I don't want to walk, you know, because that's also a Zelda problem, but then also tie in the classic 90s RPG factors of having discoverable little components that are special.
Little side areas, little like things that make you feel like, oh fuck, like did anyone else find this? Yeah. Is it just me? It's not just you. It's never just you.
It's never just you.
But it's nice when it feels like it's just you.
Yeah. You need to go around to your friends. Did you find that? Yeah, I saw it on the first try.
Oh. This is my third run through. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, there's some sort of element that I feel like lost in newer games, and I don't know if it's in favor of streamlining or...
I think it's honestly it's a focus on mechanic, and that's the problem. Like literally, like Zelda, they're like only on discoverables or only on story in Final Fantasy 15.
Do you think there's anything to the notion that game developers can see like trophies now and stuff, right? They see that like if you look at Horizon, if you look at any game, if you look at what the last trophy is for the story in any game, it's usually low. People are it's like 13% for a lot of games. And you're like, only 13% of people, like so many people just like buy the game and see like the first quarter of the content, it seems like, and they dip out and never play it again. And then like the hardcore, like me and you, like beat games and, you know, do that shit. Do you think it's like one of those things where they're like, it's not worth it. No one's ever gonna fucking find this. Like,
I think
3% of people will.
No, I think only 13% of people are people who need to polish games off at the speed that we do. Like, we like to complete a game, move on. We don't want it lingering there in the back as that incomplete game because it drives us nuts. And there are fewer of us doing that. Because most of my friends who are hardcore gamers, they're still playing Horizon. They're still playing fucking Fallout. You know, and they haven't beaten it yet. But it's because they play, like, twice a month for maybe 6 hours each sitting. And they just slowly beat it because they don't care. They're like, it's just, I know it's there, and I will beat it, and I'll come back to it, and eventually it will be done. My friend Tara, she just finished Fallout 4, like, just now. My Ian, who I think you've met, he just beat Horizon. You know, like, it's been sitting on their shelves for a while. So I think that number increases drastically as the years pass by.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
No, it's notoriously low. Like the last story trophy in any game is like always very low.
Yeah.
And it's like there was an article about it a couple of months ago about how like, you know, like less than 20% of people complete games on average, you know.
Yeah. Could be.
Like, you're right. Things could, obviously, you know, maybe you beat Horizon within the first 3 weeks or whatever. It's like, yeah, there's like 6% of people beating it. But like now it's probably only like 18%, you know.
I find that odd. Maybe people also turning off their trophy support though as well. Because like everyone,
I mean, only unless you're not connected to the internet. That's the only way you would, and then it wouldn't register you having the game at all. So, no, that's just a lot of people don't beat games.
It's weird because like everyone I talk to has always finished their games unless it's one of those people who are just slow burners.
Yeah, no.
Huh,
I mean, yeah, I don't like all the people I can think of. Also, yeah, probably beat their games, but
that's weird.
I imagine it's. I mean, we've all had that game where we buy it and we're like we play it for a little while and we're like, okay, we're like burn out a little too quick and you just never pick it back up because something new comes or something.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what like normal people are like.
Yeah, Metal
for
Gear
everything.
Solid.
Yeah, I feel like normal people are like that for like everything.
Yeah,
they play it for a little bit. They're like, oh, Call of Duty was fun. And then
I can't get that because like
right
now
4 levels or something.
It's bothering me so much that I haven't technically finished Ni no Kuni. I have saved right before the last boss. But because other games came out afterwards, I literally just have not done the last boss fight. Mm-hmm. And I kind of don't want to turn on a game to just do a last boss fight. I'll probably just turn the character
and especially
around.
Now when it's been so long and you're like, what the fuck are the mechanics?
Yeah, like, what's the button? I'm going to get in there and just, like, throw my fucking Mite at him or something.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
That's the whole end of my Ni no Kuni journey is I just throw Mite at him and book it the other direction.
You know, and it surprises me more with games that are more linear than, you know, if there's an open world game like Grand Theft Auto someone buys, I'm not surprised no one beats that game. I'm sure most people just buy it and fuck around or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's something linear like Doom or something, it's like, oh, okay, you didn't like, you only got to level 2, mm-hmm. and you just stopped, like, you know, it's like.
Which makes me wonder, how do people even have any fucking passionate like opinion about video gaming at all? They're sitting there like, Doom 2 is the best game ever. Did you complete it? Yes. Did you really? Because the stats say no.
I assume the hardcore are the ones that we mostly see online, and then everyone else just like probably doesn't even think about it. They own a PS4, they buy 1 or 2 games a year, and
but it's a $1 billion industry.
And then like if we told them like, oh yeah, we do a whole video game about or podcast about video games, they're like, what? Yeah. You talk about it for that much? You know, it's
like a $6 billion a year industry. Like they're people are buying this shit. It's just baffling that so many people buy this stuff but don't finish it.
Oh yeah. It's notorious.
It's like watching a movie and then stopping at the last chapter.
It's almost like that, right? But it's like movies are a passive experience and they only take 2 hours of your life, whereas a video game is like Persona 5, right? It's like, here's 110 hours of your life that you need to dedicate to forming relationships and all this shit. And it's like, fine. That's a lot.
How about this? It's like watching Harry Potter and all fucking 9 movies or 8 movies or whatever the fuck it is, and then you stop at the last chapter.
Yeah. I mean, we'll look at some stats after this and I'll show you. It's surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that'll do it for After Dark.
Mm-hmm.
If you like this podcast, thanks. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at TheCalG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. And Pens and Pixels across all social medias. Pick your poison on Twitter. We are PNP_Popcast. And
yeah, so be sure.
Wait, it's Facebook. It's Facebook.com/Pens and Pixels.
In Pixels, yeah.
Podcast.
So yeah, be sure to give us one of those big like, share, and subscribes to all of our different outlets. So do that on SoundCloud. If you follow us on YouTube, we have YouTube content up on there you can check out.
Having a new video dropping soon.
Yeah.
Ish.
And you can give us a thumbs up and a subscribe there. It gives us a good feedback. Let us know what you like. You can drop us questions, comments. We respond back all the time. We love hearing from you guys. And then other than that, yeah. I'm just kidding.
Stay juicy, everybody.
Stay juicy.
Stay juicy.